des comme Maman Alice, Maître Alice comme 80 années, décide de prendre la présidence et elle donne une stratégie pour maintenir Issa Choma. Bienvenue au 20e.
Qu'est-ce qui va donc se passer en Afrique? Nous sommes avec vous, madame et monsieur. Rebonsoir à tous et bienvenue pour cette...
3, 2, 1, go!
Ok, c'est bon. Bon!
Bonne année!
Mesdames et messieurs, c'est terminé pour monsieur Patrice Talon. Le coup d'État a été bel et bien consommé du côté du Bénin. Le coup d'État est entré dans la consommation, dans la poche, oui, du colonel Le Tigri. Monsieur Talon vient d'être talonné, lui et sa France. Alors, mesdames, mesdemoiselles et messieurs, nous avons un communiqué officiel du CMR qui a été publié. On ne sait pas, je le mets au conditionnel, on ne sait pas si c'est de l'intelligence artificielle. Je précise parce que moi, je relais l'information telles qu'elles sont, telles que nous les recevons. Mais, attention, il y a l'IA qui travaille beaucoup maintenant dehors, mais le coup d'État a été consommé. Alors j'enregistre cette vidéoconférence. Que dit le communiqué? Et que dit Monsieur Tigri? Mesdames, mesdemoiselles et messieurs, je vous avais dit qu'il avait menacé la France, il avait menacé les puissances extérieures. Je vous avais dit qu'il y a un avion cargo militaire ivoirien. Alors, mesdames, mesdemoiselles et messieurs, mes sources sont concordantes. Qu'est-ce qui se passe en réalité? Et que dit ce communiqué? Couvre-feu imposé et plusieurs d'autres prises de décision imposées par les militaires en place. Je veux voir un maximum de partage à la vidéoconférence. Partagez massivement. Oui, j'insiste, mettez un maximum de j'aime. Mesdames, mesdemoiselles et messieurs, Patrice Talon, à leur instant, la France est en train d'envisager comment faire, soit pour l'envoyer dans un pays voisin, soit pour l'extrader du côté de la France. À leur instant où je fais cette vidéoconférence, nous avons le Togo, nous avons le Ghana, nous avons la Côte d'Ivoire. On est en train de vouloir choisir où on va transférer Patrice Talon. Selon les dernières informations qu'il vient de recevoir. Vous comprenez? Mais pour l'instant, il est en sécurité à l'ambassade française. Oui. Chers dames et messieurs, de quoi s'agit-il? Mettez un maximum de j'aime, partagez la vidéo pour informer le monde, pour informer l'opinion nationale et internationale. Tout est déjà clos. C'est clos. Alors, qu'est-ce que l'on nous dit? Selon l'annonce, le nouvel homme fort du pays, le colonel Le Tigri, appelle le peuple à un soutien, tout en évitant la France, tout en invitant la France à rester très loin des affaires internes du pays. Un très bon début de ce coup d'État, selon l'annonce. Peuple révolutionnaire du Bénin, l'avenir de votre souveraineté se joue en ce moment très crucial de l'histoire politique de votre patrie. Vous avez la chance d'avoir une fois de plus un homme digne comme Kérékou. Alors sortez massivement pour défendre les idéaux portés par ces jeunes officiers dignes, fils d'Afrique. Selon l'annonce que Tigri, je crois que c'est Tigri qui a fait cette annonce, le colonel Tigri, si je ne fais pas erreur. Mais que dit le communiqué officiel qui a été annoncé par le CRM? Je vais lire tout le communiqué pour que vous puissiez mieux comprendre. Selon l'annonce officielle du communiqué. Mesdames, mesdemoiselles et messieurs, qu'est-ce que l'on nous dit? Comité militaire pour la réforme, CMR. Communiqué officiel numéro 001-CMR. Je vous donne point par point parce qu'il y a des gens encore qui ne veulent pas croire, qui ne veulent pas comprendre. C'est pourquoi je fais ça. Il faut que je détaille tout. Mesdames et messieurs, le comité militaire pour la réforme Cotonou, le 7 décembre 2025. Le comité militaire pour la réforme annonce les mesures exceptionnelles suivantes en vigueur à partir du 8 décembre 2025 à minuit. Donc aujourd'hui, là, nous sommes le 7. À minuit, là, tout ce qu'ils vont dire dans le communiqué, ça va entrer en vigueur. À minuit 00 pour une durée de 7 jours. Selon lesquels, numéro 1, suspension de tous les cours sur l'ensemble du territoire béninois. Numéro 2, couvre-feu national chaque nuit de 22h à 5h. Numéro 3, interdiction de quitter le pays pour tous les membres de l'ancien gouvernement. Interdiction de quitter le pays pour tous les membres de l'ancien gouvernement. Numéro gouvernement. Ces décisions temporaires et nécessaires ont pour but d'assurer la sécurité publique et de créer les conditions d'une transition pacifique. Le comité appelle au calme et à la responsabilité de tous. Les services essentiels seront maintenus. Les services essentiels seront maintenus. Pour le comité, le commandant suprême, selon l'annonce qui a été faite. Et ils ont même fait leur armoirie. Ils ont même fait leur logo. Ces gars sont très forts. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles et messieurs, donc voilà l'annonce qui a été faite. Voilà le communiqué du CMR qui vient d'être établi avec l'annonce du colonel Tigri appelant le peuple béninois à sortir massivement pour apporter leur soutien, mais avec raison. Et dans les casernes, je vous dis sincèrement, je reçois des vidéos. Ça rit de partout. Je dis, ça rit. Les militaires sont contents. Ils sont heureux d'avoir renversé Patrice Talon. Donc, ce qui veut dire que l'information est vraie. C'est officiel. Je dis, tous les militaires sont heureux. Et ils se rallient aux militaires, aux putschistes. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles et messieurs, Emmanuel Macron en ce moment est en train de préparer une riposte contre le Bénin. Il y a une riposte qui est en train d'être organisée du côté de la Côte d'Ivoire, du côté du Togo, du côté du Ghana, du côté, mais le Ghana n'est pas trop dans l'affaire, du côté de, comment dirais-je, Abuja, au Nigeria. Ils sont en train d'organiser ce qu'on appelle une riposte. L'avion français est en train de vouloir entrer en jeu. Je reviendrai avec cette vidéoconférence. Mais c'est un avion français qui opère sur le sol ivoirien. C'est un avion français qui travaille avec la Côte d'Ivoire. C'est en train d'entrer en jeu. Je reviendrai avec cette vidéoconférence parce que j'ai beaucoup d'informations à l'heure actuelle. Vous voyez même les informations russo-ukrainiennes. Je les ai d'abord suspendues parce que la situation béninoise nous tient à cœur. On doit libérer ce pays. Vous et moi et tout le monde entier, les Africains et Panafricains, nous sommes concentrés sur cette situation. Mais l'Afrique d'abord. Je ne peux pas abandonner l'Afrique. S'il y a une telle pareille situation, nous devons la suivre à la lettre. Et je crois que j'ai raison de d'abord mettre la Russie de côté pour quelques heures. Ce n'est pas pour définitivement, pour quelques heures. Nous allons revenir avec les actualités russo-ukrainiennes. Ce n'est pas abandonné parce que je reçois les informations selon lesquelles beaucoup de personnes me demandent les actualités sur le conflit russo-ukrainien. Donc je vous certifie que je n'ai pas abandonné le conflit russo-ukrainien. Je reviendrai avec, vous savez, c'est ma ligne éditoriale. Je ne peux pas l'abandonner. Vous comprenez? Mais l'Afrique d'abord. Lorsqu'il y a une telle pareille situation, c'est d'abord l'Afrique. Et nous sommes là pour la libération de l'Afrique. Le panafricanisme, le monde multipolaire et toute l'Afrique soutient les militaires, M. Tigri et son clan et son groupe. Et nous apportons notre soutien indéfectible à M. Tigri. Il n'est pas seul. Je prie tous les Africains et Panafricains d'entrer dans la communication parce que nous sommes en guerre. Nous sommes en guerre. Je répète, nous sommes en guerre. Entrez dans la communication. Nous devons combattre toute communication venant de la France-Afrique. Ça c'est clair. On ne donne pas le lait. Si les autres se voilent le visage pour dire, moi je tape sec. Je ne suis jamais pour la France. Moi je le dis, je ne suis pas pour la France-Afrique. Et je ne me cache pas, je ne mange pas chez eux. C'est ça qui est la vérité. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles et messieurs, voilà l'information que j'avais à vous relayer dans cette vidéoconférence. Je vous prie encore une fois de plus de la mettre partout à travers le monde, de la sécuriser mais plus que jamais et surtout de la partager dans tous les groupes possibles. Oui, partager l'information, notre but c'est d'informer le million de personnes. N'hésitez non plus de mettre vos avis en commentaire. Surtout, je vous reviens tout à l'heure pour une prochaine série d'informations. Soyez encore salués une fois de plus. Ciao, ciao.
These people are criminals. They pay they must pay for the occupation, and that's part of the payment. I don't know why their own citizens don't report. The parents of those two who are said to have died, what are they dying for? dying for occupying a foreign territory, dying for protecting the money, especially from Sonara, that the ordinary citizen in East Cameroon does not even enjoy. The monies come in, the president steals it with his close people, with his wife, with his family, and your children go and die, and you continue to let them go there. It is not a pride at all to any family to have a son, a daughter, to belong to such an army, an outlaw army, an army of terrorists. There's no pride there. If I were you, I would send my child there. For those of them who were there, if I were you, I would withdraw. It's better to go and make a cocoa farm if it is possible, or ride on motorcycle and live, than to venture into territory where your life is taken off. And of course, we are very sure those guys who are even dead, nobody will even compensate them for dying in the war front. Today, to our ASAs, I say congratulations for doing a good job. Keep on the fight, target them properly, be sure you don't fail, get them down until such a time that they recognize that the occupation is becoming impossible to bear. They will pack back, or they will push back. Over to you.
That's a great word right there, and encouragement right there to the Amazonian State Army. It's a great one, and we hope that this keeps on, and then we see greater breakthroughs in the coming day. Barrister Mbesia, we have this report still. In a striking and unsettling twist in French Cameroon's political landscape, the death of political figure Anicet Ikane was officially announced not by a medical authority, not by a government spokesperson, or by a military officer. A political personality dies under questionable circumstances, and it is the military that steps forward to break the news, a detail that deepens concerns and fuels the perception that this was not a natural passing, but a death managed, handled, and delivered by the very forces meant to protect civilians. Observers have called it the height of irony and perhaps even an unintentional confession. When a regime hunts its opponent to the point where their death must be reported by soldiers, the message speaks louder than any official statement ever could. What is even more jarring is the background of Anicet Ikane's ordeal. His detention conditions were described as nothing short of hellish. He spent 40 days in detention, and for the last 3 weeks, he repeatedly cried out that his oxygen extractor, a medically necessary device, had been seized from him by Gendarmerie Colonel Otulo. He was deprived of comfort, deprived of medical support, deprived of dignity, and ultimately deprived of air. In the end, it wasn't a prison sentence, it was a slow, suffocating execution carried out in silence. And the question that lingers is painfully clear. On what legal basis was he detained? By all accounts, none that can stand without and withstand scrutiny. His only crime, according to those close to him, was sponsoring an opposition candidate who won the elections. Now, in the current political climate, defeating the CPDM, even democratically, appears to be treated as an offense punishable by death. These analysts say is also why former Prime Minister Issa Chiroma Bakri, once one of the staunchest defenders of the Biya regime, is now reportedly on the run. The irony is unmistakable. Even those who stood firmly with the regime are not spared when their usefulness fades or when they cross invisible red lines. The case of Anicet Ikane now stands as yet another example cited by critics as proof of the Biya government's increasingly ruthless and deeply authoritarian posture, a regime where political rivalry is treated as a national security threat, where detention replaces dialogue, and where death, sometimes slow and suffocating, becomes the final instrument of intimidation. Barrister Mbesia, we see that from a legal standpoint, how does a political detainee die in custody like that of Anicet, with a military officer, not a medical judicial authority, being the one to officially announce his death? And this is still considered lawful under Cameroon's own procedures or international standards. Barrister Mbesia, what do you think about this?
No, it's not the semantics that matter. Even if his death was announced by the Supreme Court president, which is legal, it would not have changed anything. Anise Ekane has been murdered. What is his crime? He has only one crime: supporting an opposition that won the election. But before Anise, his Manidem supported Anise, supported Chiroma. They had supported Kamto, leading up to the selection of the candidates. What did they do? The Minister of Territorial Administration committed what we call open daylight armed robbery by breaking into their own site of their own website and changing the information about Manidem just to disqualify Kamto. They did not imagine that Manidem would support another candidate. After Kamto was disqualified, they thought that was the end of the journey. Then suddenly came Issa Chiroma, who won the endorsement of Manidem, led by Anise Ekane, and won the elections. Remember, the elections were on the 12th of October. Before the proclamation of the results officially, a few days before, on the 24th or so, they went and captured him from his house. They knew that his candidate had won. They went and captured him. He went there to the police station to find out about his uncle when they owe his niece. They arrested him. Within hours, they did everything to him and took him to Yaoundé. If Anise Ekane committed any crime in Douala, what was he doing in Yaoundé? They took him to the murder chamber. That way they killed everybody who opposes them. And a few days, 2-3 days after that, when the Constitutional Council gave the results and declared that Mr. Paul Biya had won, when everybody knew that he had lost, what did they do? They took guns to run after Chiroma. They hired planes to make sure they killed Chiroma. The poor Chiroma was on the run, escaped to Nigeria, running for his life. For doing what? For winning an election. If Chiroma had not been lucky to find refuge in Gambia, he would be dead by now. For doing what? For winning an election against Paul Biya. This is political murder. There's no true explanation to it. I can conclude with this. The government has reacted in two ways. The communication minister has reacted to Chiroma's Anise's death. The Minister of Defense has reacted. These are all government ministers. The spokesperson for the government, we're speaking for the whole government. He says some lines like that which are so important. He says if you had been consulted, he's not talking for himself, he's talking for the government. If we were consulted, they were taking a different action. They would not have been arresting Anise Ekane. This is a spokesman for government. He's not speaking for himself. Then the Minister of Defense gives a justification for capturing the guy, framing some charges against him, which could not hold. But what did he say? Ends up by saying that, well, the cases have some relationship with the military tribunal. If you have a case connected to a military tribunal, the military must go and adopt you, catch you and bring there physically because it's a military tribunal. And he said the man was under judicial detention. By who? Ordered by who? And for how long? The law on detention has its own limits. Even their so-called administrative detentions, they cannot last for more than 30 days. And he said he was there for longer than that. And so you find a compilation of illegalities, of fraudulent intentions to hide the death of somebody that they willfully kill. The only thing I ask and I doubt, and I will continue to doubt until the contrary is proved, is that what these people in Cameroon, like people in Cameroon, what are they made of? Are they human beings? This is a death that should send everybody to the street. Even if you don't know him, why did Paul Biya agree to have multi-partyism? If you must go down and hunt your opponents, and if you don't get them, you kill them. If you don't suppress them politically, you eliminate them physically. What country is that? What country does that in the world? I don't imagine one. Even people that have overtaken government by coup d'etat, they don't kill the leaders. They try them for alleged crimes. So Anissa Kane was killed. They took him there. The claim was already sick. But there's a principle in law that take your victim as you find him. If you carry a hammer, I hit my head and I fell down and died. I'm trying to explain that principle. You cannot excuse yourself that this man had already a very weak skull. His skull was so soft that my one knock killed him. One knock broke his skull, was a soft skull. You killed him. The fact that Anissa Kane was already sick is not a justification for killing him. They killed him. If there's any accountability in the world, I think these people should be held accountable. And good enough, the people who handled him are well known. They are not the lower class soldiers. He's the Minister of Defense defending it. He's the Minister of Information and whatever thing defending it. People at the top level of the government. The Minister of Defense, the ministry, the whole ministry is attached to the presidency. They call him Minister Delegate at the presidency. So these are people who take direct instructions from their dead boss, Mr. Biya, or from his surviving widow Chantal Biya, or for their cousins, Gongo, or whatever it is. But if people cannot be angry with this thing, I doubt when they will ever be angry. This is criminal, this is unacceptable, this is wrong. I mean, if a bishop in Yagua said it 6 months ago, that we better take this and give it to a devil, you cannot see what it means now. This is a devilish state. You better take it and throw it in the ocean, if that is the devil, rather than to let these things continue to happen to human beings. We are not part of the Republic of Cameroon. But Anissa Kane was a human being like you and me. We have to make these commentaries, not because we are part of their system, but because we are part of the human race. Humanity was not meant to be treated in that way. A human being, wherever you are, you have 2 eyes, 2 hands, you have the same thing. No matter whether you're in China, whether in the United States, whether in Cameroon or in Amazonia. This crime is wrong. People must be held accountable, and whoever is involved should be punished, given the adequate punishment. I don't know what you can do to compensate the family of Anissa Kane, but in short, they must be held accountable, the maximum that is possible in the world. Over to you.
Indeed, Barrister Biya, there is no justification for this death. And then it was the concern, while there is no uproar, people are not even speaking, there is no commentary. We do say they are scared of the system, or they are tired of speaking and then crying out, and it's still falling into deaf ears. But then we'll definitely get to see the reactions, most probably in the coming days. Now, Barrister Biya, let's head into this report. We have in this report today, the first day of December 2025, we turn our spotlight to a story that has become the silent heartbeat of our nation, the story of Southern Cameroonians forced into diaspora. A story of war, displacement, survival, and an unbreakable people holding on to identity even when everything else has been stripped away. 9 years ago in 2016, the conflict that began as peaceful protests escalated into a full-blown armed conflict after the Biya regime declared war on the people of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia. What followed was a humanitarian disaster that has reshaped the lives of millions. Entire communities were uprooted. Families woke up citizens and went to bed refugees. Many Southern Cameroonians lost their homes in a single night. Shelter, livelihood, possessions, all gone without warning. Forced to run with nothing but the clothes on their backs, they crossed borders into Nigeria searching for safety, hope, and a chance to rebuild from scratch. But displacement came with a new kind of suffering. In some parts of southern Cameroon, Biya-backed local figures took advantage of the chaos, selling abandoned homes, taking over people's properties, and stripping refugees of the little they left behind long before they ever had a chance to return. Now today marks 9 years in refugee camps across Nigeria, 9 years of uncertainty, 9 years of survival, and 9 years of people waiting for justice, dignity, and the freedom to return home. The United Nations Human Rights, despite its global mandate, has been unable to fully support the overwhelming needs of these refugees. Let's take a look.
Yeah, as you can see today is 1st of December 2025. These are Cameroonian refugees, Southern Cameroonian refugees that they flee away from the war in the Southern Cameroon since 2018. They have been here for close to 9 years now. So many of them have left immaturely because of the insecurity in Nigeria, because of the abandonment of UNHCR Nigeria. They are here today because they don't have water, they don't have good health care, no insecurity, because a lot of people are crying. Even the international community, the United States of America, United Nations, they knew that there is war between the Fulani herdsmen, terrorists, kidnappers, bandits in Nigeria. The refugees in Cameroon, the Saudi Cameroon refugees have been abandoned. These are few of them. Most of them left this morning because of insecurity. Yesterday there was an incident in the neighboring community that some Fulanis were chased by host community. Not to talk about refugees that have been left to secure themselves without any security. This police station was built few months ago, have been abandoned without no security personnel.
That's the SEMA office.
That's the SEMA office that have been abandoned without no health and security personnel. So we are calling on UNHCR International, Geneva, to look into the problem of the abandonment of refugees in Nigeria.
Especially the security situation.
Because we know that refugees are stainless citizens.
This is a heartbreaking situation on ground. As the years pass, resources tighten, the world motion and donor fatigue has become a painful reality. Yet in the middle of that silence, one hand has remained consistently extended, the hand of Ambazonians themselves. The government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, under President Samuel Ikoumé, along with a few genuine and patriotic citizens, has been the lifeline for thousands of refugees. For 9 years, it has been the same people giving, the same people contributing over and over again, even when their own resources are limited. That spirit of we cannot abandon our own remains one of the strongest pillars of the struggle. And as Christmas approaches, a season that often deepens the pain of separation and loss, the Amazonian government is once again mobilizing despite donor fatigue, despite limited resources, despite the pressure of 9 long years. There is a renewed push to ensure that, like every other Christmas, refugees in Nigeria receive food items, support, and a reminder that they have not been forgotten. For the mothers raising children in foreign lands, for the elders who dream of seeing home before their eyes close, for the young people who have never stepped foot in the land that bettered them, this support means more than survival. It is hope, it is identity, it is dignity, it is Ambazonia. As we step into December, the month of reflection and giving, we shine this spotlight not just to tell their story, but to remind the world that 9 years is too long, and these citizens deserve more than endurance, they deserve a future. Barrister Biya, as we mark 9 years of our people living in refugee camps, you've just seen that in the video, with donor fatigue setting in and the Amazonian government still struggling to reach every family, what would you say to Ambazonians at home, in the diaspora, and to the wider international community about the kind of support that is urgently needed right now? I mean, it's been 9 solid years to help these refugees survive this Christmas and even beyond.
Well, what I can say is that everybody must reflect. What leads people to become refugees is the question of life or death. People don't volunteer to become refugees somewhere. People are forced into that status. Either you escape and become a refugee, or you die a premature death. But being a refugee is not a reason why you should go there and die a slow death. If you didn't escape, somebody will shoot you and kill you. Once you have escaped, you should not be abandoned to gradually die of hunger, to gradually die of diseases that are curable. The whole world should come to your assistance. That's the reason for which the United Nations created that agency to assist, because the United Nations itself was created to avoid wars. So they know the consequences of wars. All wars come with refugees, and the agency was created to handle that. And if they abandon them, it is a great misfortune. It is very, very unfortunate. We, the Ambazonian people, out of pocket, we have done our best. We have done our best, and we continue to do our best. We can all call on others to help us, and then remind ourselves that the reason why these people are out there being refugees is the reason why we fight. Their pictures should motivate us to fight this thing to the end, because they were just peaceful people living in their homes. When somebody violently attacked them, burnt their homes, they were lucky to escape to Nigeria. Some escaped to other places and became internally displaced. This cannot be left to us alone. We are doing our best. We can give congratulations to the President Sako, who has, at least in his own best interest as a government, tried to do something to give a smiling face to those children during every Christmas. That is what it is. And so, again, we are in trouble. And then there are people who should have helped us. I remember, if I'm not forgetting, in the churches, most particularly the Catholic Church, they have services for refugees. In Nigeria, there are so many Christians, different Christians, Baptist, Catholics, they are all there. If their missions back home in Cameroon, in Amazonia, or in Cameroon in general, can mobilize some of their services for refugees, that might add a little bit relief to the suffering of the people there. I'm sure if on Sunday, be it a Presbyterian church, Baptist or Catholic church, they pass the basket to help our refugees in Nigeria, one month they will raise at least 1 million. That will not be too small. That will be highly appreciated. This is a special mission for those Christians in Amazonia. The Catholic Church, for example, they should not spend all their time going to Yaoundé to Tongo. How to accompany them before, during the elections, and after. Because the goal of humanity is not to vote people. So we plead with the churches, Catholics, Baptists, all Christian churches, Muslims, to come to the assistance of these people. They need the help. I think they have been completely forgotten. Even those who are internally displaced. I'm not sure, I may be wrong. I'm not sure that, for example, if we went to Douala, the ashes of the Catholic Church or Presbyterian, you'll find them organizing something for the internally displaced who have escaped to Douala. Similarly in Bafoussam or in Komsamba, these people are just left there to be there at their own mercy. But again, as Ambazonians, it should remind us that is the reason why we fight. If they were to return home, these people have no home to return to. Their homes were destroyed, some leveled. I know some homes were somewhere in Kumba there, where they came with graders and bulldozed the foundations to be sure they could never ever live there anymore. It is more than humanity, it is more than criminality. So we are calling on the people to do something. We are calling on the United Nations Agency in Nigeria not to abandon them. That's their responsibility. They are capable of doing it. They raise funds all over the world to help refugees. And these are refugees. Why is their own case different? Again and again. The answer is not returning home, because the bulk of them have no home to return to. I know places, Kwakwa, where everything was burnt down. Areas in Kembang where people have no houses to return to. So asking them to return home is not an answer. Assisting them at this point is the best help. And then, of course, compelling, if you have the possibility, forcing Yaoundé to come to the conference table so this crisis can end and people will come back home, possibly with assistance to rebuild, is the best approach. And so we can only wish them best Christmas out of the duty that they can have. And then we can also say Happy Christmas and thank you, Mr. President, for doing what you are doing out of the little that you have. The intention is there. Your physical cash is small. We must appreciate what you are doing. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Mbisia, for the kind felicitation already, wishing them a Merry Christmas. And definitely with time, they will be back home and everything will be sorted and they would have peace once again. Thank you so much for being together with us on the show tonight. It's been an awesome time having you give your thoughts and perspectives to this report and duly analyzing this report for the home front, people from the home front to definitely get a better view as this report keeps unfolding. Thank you so much. This is where we'll let you go.
Thank you for having me.
Into the rest of the news. Welcome back. We're heading into the news on Africa. A high-level ECOWAS delegation arrived in Guinea-Bissau on Monday to begin mediation with the military authorities who seized power last week. Now, as the regional bloc pushes for the full restoration of constitutional rule, the mission is led by ECOWAS chair and Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio. Their arrival comes at the junta, which took control 3 days after a disputed presidential election imposed a nationwide ban on demonstrations, strikes, and any activities it considers a threat to public order. The military also directed all ministries and public institutions to resume operations. The coup followed a fiercely contested vote in which both leading candidates claimed the victory. During the takeover, President Umaru Sissoco Embalo told French media he had been removed from office and detained. He later fled to Brazzaville in the Republic of Congo. The military has appointed former Army Chief General Hota Intaa to head the transitional government tasked with steering a 1-year transition. Intaa has unveiled a 28-member cabinet largely made up of allies of the ousted president. Meanwhile, Nigeria announced that President Bola Tinubu has authorized protection for opposition candidate Farnadojas Das Costa, citing threats to the politician's safety. A letter from Nigeria's foreign ministry to ECOWAS confirmed that Da Costa is currently sheltering at the Nigerian embassy in Bissau and requested regional security support. ECOWAS suspended Guinea-Bissau from its decision-making bodies the day after the coup and dispatched a delegation now in Bissau to press for a return to constitutional authority. However, we see that the United Nations has also voiced strong concern. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the military takeover, warning that overturning the result of the November 23 election undermines democratic principles. He urged the immediate restoration of civilian rule and the release of detained officials, including electoral commissioners and opposition figures. Still on tonight, UNAIDS is urging world leaders to strengthen international support for HIV prevention and treatment, warning that the global response has suffered its biggest setback in decades. A recent UNAIDS report highlights that domestic funding alone cannot meet the needs of countries most affected by HIV. Abrupt reductions in international aid in 2025 have intensified funding gaps, undermining efforts to curb the epidemic. Over 60% of women-led HIV organizations have faced funding losses or have had to suspend activities, while key prevention programs have been severely disrupted. The number of people using HIV prevention medicine has dropped sharply in countries including Burundi, Uganda, and Vietnam. Currently, 40.8 million people live with HIV worldwide, with 1.3 million new infections recorded in 2024. About 9.2 million remain without access to treatment. UNAIDS is calling for increased investment in innovative, affordable prevention and treatment options, including the rapid rollout of medicines such as lenacapavir to reach 20 million people and reduce costs through broader production. The report titled Overcoming Disruption, Transforming the AIDS, where the AIDS response underscores the far-reaching consequences of reduced international support, which threatens progress toward the 2030 Global AIDS Strategy. According to the OECD, external health assistance is expected to decline by 30 to 40% in 2025 compared to 2023, potentially causing severe disruptions to health services in low and middle-income countries. Without renewed global solidarity, An additional 3.3 million HIV infections could occur between 2025 and 2030. With this, we head on to news across the globe. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared before the Tel Aviv District Court on Monday, marking his first in-person session since formally requesting a presidential pardon in his long-running corruption trial. The appearance came a day after Netanyahu submitted a plea to President Isaac Herzog, asking for clemency from the corruption charges that have trailed him for several years. The request has intensified political divisions in Israel, with critics insisting that any potential pardon must be tied to an admission of wrongdoing and a full withdrawal from political life. Monday's hearing proceeded without judicial discussion of the pardon request, according to Israeli media report. Netanyahu has asked the court to cancel his next scheduled appearance, citing diplomatic and security commitments. Judges are expected to review the request. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has frequently attempted to delay, shorten, or reschedule hearings since the trial opened on May 24, 2020, often citing travel requirements, security considerations, or the ongoing military campaign in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli leader is on trial in 3 separate corruption cases, making him the first sitting prime minister in the country's history to serve as a criminal defendant. He denies all allegations. Beyond the domestic charges, Netanyahu also faces international legal pressure. In November 2024, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrant for him and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on accusations of war crimes and crimes against humanity linked to Israel's military operations in Gaza. More than 70,000 Palestinians, predominantly women and children, have been killed since the conflict escalated in October 2023. According to humanitarian agencies. Still on tonight, European leaders close ranks behind Ukraine as Trump envoy heads to Moscow. European leaders moved on Monday to reaffirm their support for Ukraine as Washington and Kyiv continued efforts to revise a controversial U.S. peace proposal initially reviewed as favorable to Russia. The push came as United States President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff traveled to Moscow to brief the Kremlin on recent negotiations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris, where both leaders joined a call with counterparts from Britain, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the European Union to coordinate positions on the stalled peace process. At a joint press appearance, Zelensky outlined Kyiv's core demands: safeguarding Ukrainian sovereignty, securing firm international security guarantees, and resolving territorial issues that remain the most difficult part of the talks. He appealed to Western governments to ensure Russia does not benefit from its invasion and said he expects to engage directly with Trump after Witkoff's Moscow's discussions. Meanwhile, Macron stressed that decisions about Ukraine's territory must rest solely with Kyiv as negotiations evolve. Zelensky signaled that Ukrainian and U.S. negotiators have not finalized changes to the 28-point U.S. proposal despite 2 rounds of discussions. The original draft required Ukraine to surrender more territory than Russia currently holds, reduce the size of its military, abandon its ambition to join NATO, and prohibit Western troop deployment. These terms, Kyiv and European partners argue, would leave the country dangerously exposed. The latest talks were held on Sunday at a Florida resort owned by Witkoff. Afterward, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described progress as incremental but stressed that sensitive issues remained unresolved. He indicated that further movement would depend on Russia's reaction during Witkoff's Moscow's meetings. The diplomatic push comes at a moment of heightened pressure for Ukraine. Its forces are losing ground on the Eastern Front, and the government is grappling with its most serious wartime corruption scandal. Zelensky's chief of staff, who had led Kyiv's negotiating team, resigned after investigators searched his home, and 2 ministers have been dismissed in related investigations. President Donald Trump, who has pledged to swiftly end the conflict, has voiced impatience over the slow pace of a potential deal and pointed to Ukraine's internal challenges as an obstacle. Now on the battlefield, Russia continues to advance slowly across the 1,200-kilometer front. A missile strike on the central city of Dnipro on Monday killed at least 4 people and injured 40, according to local officials. The attack hit car repair shops, leaving multiple workers wounded by debris. Russia also claimed control of the settlement of Klinov in the next region, though the situation could not be independently verified. Moscow maintains it is close to capturing Pokrovsk, which would mark its most significant gain in nearly 2 years. Meanwhile, nightly long-range strikes continue to hit Ukrainian energy infrastructure, leaving cities cold and dark as winter sets in. Ukraine has responded with its own long-range attacks targeting Russian oil facilities and tankers in the Black Sea. The Kremlin condemned Monday strikes on an oil export terminal connected to Kazakhstan's pipeline system. That's the news coming up from the home front. With that, we come to the end of Undaunted, bringing into the news Untold Stories. But before we go, a recap of our major headlines. And tonight on Undaunted, we saw that Colonial Divisional Officer imposes bike restriction in Kambe, exposing deepening panic in occupied southern Cameroon. Also tonight, we took a look at French Cameroon soldiers launch illegal arrest sweep in Inquen after improvised explosive device blast extorting families for ransom. Biya regime under fire after detained opposition figure Aniset Ikani dies under suspicious conditions. Also tonight, we took a look at 9 years in exile. Amazonian refugees mark another December far from home. And also tonight on news from the African scene, ECOWAS leaders arrive in Guinea-Bissau for talks after post-election coup. And from news across the globe, we took a look at Netanyahu, who appears in court for first time since seeking presidential pardon. And that is all on Undaunted tonight, bringing into the news Untold Stories. On behalf of the entire Undaunted newsroom, we say thank you for joining. We'll leave you with ABC Amber TV images. Good night and God bless you.
Nous sommes déjà presque arrivés à la fin de cette édition spéciale, l'une des chaînes sociopolitiques. Alors, bienvenue donc pour la prochaine. Bam!